Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fairfax. We hope you enjoy this sermon from a recent Sunday worship service.
In Unitarian Universalism, our sacred texts are not limited to the traditional scriptures of the Bible. With that said, there is a concept called proof texting, which basically means that one can find text from the Bible and other sources to prove whatever it is they're trying to prove. Now, with that said, if we look to Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4, it says, "They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." This reference in the Bible is most commonly thought to be a prayer of sorts, a desire and hope of turning weapons of war into tools of peace. In Spencer LaJoie's Plowshare Prayer, the song the choir just sang, the concept is much the same in the lyrics, and it feels like sacred text to me, especially for those who have been targeted or wounded by prayer meant to inflict pain in the name of religion. In the Plowshare Prayer, LaJoie sings, "I pray if a prayer has been used as a sword against you and your heart, against you and your word, I pray that this prayer is a plowshare of sorts." A prayer is something that can be used as a weapon or a tool of love and peace. Just like looking at the purpose of a prayer, there are so many ways to look at the practice of religion in these days. Is it a model of scarcity or is it a model of abundance? Is it exclusionary or does it serve to heal and include? Knowing that we were going to use this sacred song in our worship service today, just before Thanksgiving 2025, I couldn't help but think about who is truly welcome at our Thanksgiving tables, both real and metaphorical. For almost all my years in ministry, it was important for me to approach this service before Thanksgiving in sort of a Norman Rockwellian way. I wanted it to feel like a warm embrace, a beautiful sense of family of origin or family of choice, in such a way to send us off to the holiday season smelling pumpkin spice in the air and dreaming of stuffing cranberry sauce and mashed potatoes. For some reason this year I just couldn't do that. It's not because I wish for you a terrible Thanksgiving. I just thought it was important, with all that's swirling around us, to be aware of how Thanksgiving can be, and the table can be, represented as a sword or a plowshare. To quote the World History Encyclopedia, "The doctrine of discovery is a policy enacted initially in the 15th century Catholic Church, proclaiming the right of Christian nations to take possession of the lands of non-Christians in the interest of saving their souls. Non-Christians were not recognized as legitimate landowners, and any lands discovered by Christian explorers were claimed as the property of the discoverer's nation. The doctrine of discovery is articulated first by a papal bull issued in 1452, another in 1455, and best known in 1493, shortly after the 1492 expedition of Christopher Columbus and his discovery of the so-called New World. In the 1493 papal bull, it made clear the duty of Christian explorers to seize lands of non-Christians for the purpose of Christianizing the inhabitants and bringing them within the folds of the European Christian civilization. It goes on to say that the doctrine of discovery deprived the native peoples of America of their land, and in the colonial era was recognized as legitimate by the United States Supreme Court in 1823. and remains on the law books in the present day, despite being repudiated by Pope Francis in March of 2023 and challenged by modern-day legal scholars. The Land Back movement, initiated and led by Native peoples of North America, is presently challenging the legality and morality of the doctrine, which, even though recognized as unjust and racist, still informs the policies of Canada and the United States in their recognition of Native land rights. This history is not separate from Thanksgiving. This history lives in our land acknowledgement prayer. It lives under the table, out of sight but never far away. It lives in the land beneath our feet. It lives in the stories handed down and stories purposely left out. All kinds of stories are told about the origins of Thanksgiving, and some are more proof-texted than others. Much of what we feel about all the upcoming holidays really relies heavily on the perspective from which we come. I freely admit that my holiday will be what we may think of as normal or mainstream. I will join with my beloved wife and some of our family of choice in the celebration of gratitude. I will most assuredly overeat. I will probably watch a holiday movie or two. I really love The Family Stone. I love that movie. But I have to ask myself, therefore, all of us, who is truly welcome at our table? And at this Thanksgiving on 2025, with all that's swirling around us in a time that needs so much reminding of our interconnectedness, I think that we as Unitarian Universalists and we as humans need for our tables at Thanksgiving and beyond not to only include our family of origins or families of choice, but members of our human family who have been pushed to the margins, whether by the doctrine of discovery or the ripples of its legacy. And I've been thinking a lot lately in this political climate about a question I've been asked pretty frequently through the years, which is, would conservatives be welcome here? This Thanksgiving, I'm going to say that's not quite the right question. Because this year, the right question for me is framed in these words from the sacred text of lyrics of the Plowshare Prayer. Amen on behalf of the last and the least, on behalf of the anxious, depressed, and unseen. Amen for the workers, the hungry, the houseless. Amen for the lonely and recently spouseless. Amen for the queers and their closeted peers. Amen for the bullied who hold in their tears. Amen for the mother of little black sons. Amen for the kids who grow up scared of guns. Amen for the addicts ashamed and hungover. Amen for the callous, the wise, and the sober. Amen for the ones who want life to be over. Amen for the leaders who lose their composure. And amen for the parents who just lost their baby. Amen for the chronically ill and disabled. Amen for the children down at the border. And amen for the victims of our law and order. This, my friends, this is the table that we need to set. This is what love looks like when it's at the center. This is what challenges us to grow, to be abundant, to come from a place of healing and inclusiveness. This is owning the history of this country and really living into the beautiful tapestry it is and can be. We are a nation of immigrants and of Native peoples, of queers and the closeted peers, of those who are bullied and hold back their tears, of mothers of little black sons and of kids who grow up that are so tragically in fear of guns. We are so much more than our political labels and our various religious theologies and posturing. So much more, and somehow, in some way, we need to understand that none of us are going anywhere. That this is what this country is. And we need to figure out how to take the joys and the sorrows and the wounds and the brokenness, the threats and the forgiveness and the swords and the spears, and turn them into plowshares. This, my friends, this is my prayer for this Thanksgiving week. For I pray that you're heard. And I pray that this works. And I pray if a prayer has been used as a sword against you and your heart, against you and your word, I pray that this prayer is a plowshare of swords. Amen.
Thank you for listening to this sermon from the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fairfax. To listen to more sermon podcasts, go to uucf.org/sermons and scroll down to sermon podcasts.